Hey, how are we doing today? Today I came across an article going over some financial information I would like to discuss on my platform. So we can go ahead and take a look. Thank you for tuning in. Let's go ahead and check it out right now. There's been an investment that happened on through last week with the company called SBI Group. Now, if you guys aren't familiar, they are Japanese and they are an investment company that deal with multiple different areas. For example, real estate is one way that they started, and another one currently is through blockchain, which is what this article right here is about. Now, they dropped an 8-figure investment, which is around $10 million in the Taiwanese blockchain and Althing, and now they also put in 20% of that equity as well. What they're trying to do is through Alchain is their food safety services, and that's going to be connected on to Althing, which has a partnership in hotel operations in Taiwan. So clearly they're trying to expand onto Europe, as they clearly stated, and not only that, they want to offer an initial public offering in Nasdaq as of next year. So they're planning on a milestone to be hitting Nasdaq, which, as we all know as well, if you haven't heard recently, the CEO is actually on board with having cryptocurrency be used on their platform. Not currently, but in the future they're thinking about it, and they're kind of swaying both ways to see how it's going to go. At this point in time, we're not really in a moment where cryptocurrency is, for example, a bad thing. Well, it depends who you ask. It's more of us, it's not crazy and out there anymore. And what I'm meaning by that is that now companies, big startup companies that are well known, are starting to invest in cryptocurrency. Even though you hear bad things on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, how it goes down and the volatility, this and that, a lot of big companies are starting to invest in cryptocurrency. A lot of them are. And they're doing it also quietly, because you don't hear about these kind of moves on the television. I'm sorry. You don't hear about this on the television. You don't hear that, oh, SBI just dropped $10 million to invest on a different blockchain set in Taiwan. Now, if you also do not know, the US is actually not ahead in the Bitcoin market. As a matter of fact, Japan is. Japan is currently, it still is, even though this article is a couple months old, Japan still is the person that they actually have 54%, I believe, of the current market that they own. Japan alone. Now, when the Chinese government did do a ruling on cryptocurrency, a lot of those Chinese investors just moved to Japan. They just went ahead and moved to Japan like it was nothing. They said, okay, let me just go to Japan then, since they're not having a current issue with that. And China lost. It was at 15% and it dropped down to 7. So clearly a lot of people were deciding to move, and if it wasn't a lot of people, it was a lot of money being transferred from maybe just a couple individuals. That's actually very important, because if we're starting to see a pattern right now, is that Japan is becoming a leader in Bitcoin acceptance. If you go to any Reddit thread, and I have seen them myself, I should post a link to them, but if you go to any Reddit thread or anything that's Japanese based with Bitcoin, they're starting to offer the Japanese people are starting to allow Bitcoin to be used as a product. You can go to a cake store, you can go to a restaurant, and you can pay with Bitcoin. I actually know some shops here, for example, like a vape shop that I see at the mall. They actually have a Bitcoin ATM. Imagine that, but at your local grocery store or the movie theater or the arcade, those sort of platforms. Yeah, it may be considered childish at this point, but they're laying the foundation for acceptance. And that's going to be very important, that Bitcoin is already being used, and Japan just keeps going further and further ahead of everybody. If you go to the SBI Holdings, which is this group's official website, just in English, you go to their investor relations, you can browse down and you check out their annual report, which is also very important. They have an annual report going back to 2004, and you can probably find some a little bit further when they started off. But they've been around since 1999. I just want to show you guys something on their 2017 report, which, let's see if it'll load. Alright, here we go. It is loading. So right now you can see their their PDF file that has their annual report on it for last year. You go ahead. It goes down over what the growth sequence can be, which every company has. They want to show you how and where they're going to expand in the future. And you can go ahead and read into this if you like. If you invest in stocks, this is something that a lot of stock users should be very well aware of, because that's how you get your information on whether this stock is going to go up or down. Now, let me see here. Right here is their evolution path. Okay, so they're shifting, and they say they're innovating with financial services. If you go more in depth, they're actually going to talk about blockchaining, which is right here. And that goes back to the past title we were referring to. Let's see here. Maybe you guys can read that a lot better. There we go. So as the other title stated, with Ripple they invested and turned it into a joint venture, which is now in Asia. Now, like I said, if this company is starting to make $10 million investments and is planning to expand onto Europe, onto South America, etc., America eventually as well, that's because they have the highest amount of blockchain users. So it's not as much of a risk for them as it may be for someone in America to do it, because Americans are still in that bubble thinking, oh, cryptocurrency is gonna burst and pop and just gonna drop down. You're gonna lose all your money for nothing. No, the Japanese are way past that. They're already investing $10 million, creating venture plans for 2019, 2020, and they're still going on and on with it. Like I said, they have full-on ATMs on the side of their roads. You can go into a restaurant and pay with your Bitcoin address or with the Bitcoin wallet. And Ripple is also going to become more and more increasing because of this movement. Ripple's starting to be used not only by Apple, but clearly by Asian distributors, which is going to make more profit for it. Eventually, it's going to end up growing. Right now, it's still hesitating between. I don't invest in Ripple, so I think it's about 8 cents a share or something like that. Somewhere around there. But with all this being said, you can clearly see that not only is Japan trying to find its way to lead on with Bitcoin usage, but it's setting up a path. If you go to any ICO startup right now, especially one is in retail. Not retail, real estate. Alternate real estate, which they're allowing the usage of real estate to be bought with Bitcoin and to be able to mine. And it's all great that Americans are starting to do this, but at the end of the day, we have a giant company like SBI Group making $10 million investments in a blockchains, laying out foundations of how and where they're going to expand to. And with NASDAQ being okay with cryptocurrency at the moment and considering to become an exchange for that service when time goes on, it's only going to end up happening. It's going to solidify at this point. You have other big companies making $10 million investments. NASDAQ is going to want to get a share of that. They're obviously going to see it, but they also need more publicity. They need more users, not just in America, but around the world as well. Japan is leading it. Americans are not using it. As a matter of fact, Americans are stated to be using it from the age of 25 and above. There's more 25 and above men and women who use it than, let's say, millennials or teenagers. So clearly, the more publicity cryptocurrency receives, the more we ourselves can invest on ahead of the time. This isn't a moment for people to still be scared of cryptocurrency. This is what people call the people who come here early, the early setters. We're right now in a moment where investing is happening from multi-million-dollar companies, and it's just gonna keep on growing and growing and growing. So the best move right now is to see what the Japanese are doing. Maybe invest in Ripple a little bit more, seeing how it's getting more leverage. But overall, it's very important to be aware of what's going on right now. With that being said, I'm looking forward to this. I'm actually looking forward to NASDAQ opening up as a platform. But do give me your thoughts. If you feel I should go more in depth, maybe speak on something else, do let me know. Like, comment, and subscribe. Overall, tell me how you guys feel. Japan is still leading by a 54% margin. And who knows? Maybe this is gonna end up expanding onto the USA as well. They're planning for Europe. They're clearly trying to set up a foundation to expand elsewhere, which is really smart. But catch you guys later.